Hello, this is Anita from the Cookshack Cuisinista, and Gaston and I are here today to talk to you about bread. Now, bread has been referred to as the staff of life, and most of us have grown up eating one form of bread or another. As a matter of fact, Friday mornings at my childhood home, the yeast proofing in the kitchen was my alarm clock because the smell was just so great. And Friday afternoons when we got home from school, bread, more bread, cinnamon buns, and maybe some soup would be our dinner. Anyway, fast forward to 2016 when I started lower carb living. My cravings for bread had all but disappeared, but to make it sustainable, I did have to find something to fill the gap so that I could have a sandwich once in a while. So fast forward to finding Deidre's kitchen and her wonderful recipe for bread. I tweaked it and made it my own, and I added some bulk to it. So it is delicious, it is low carb. You can't eat it in a frenzy, but you certainly can have that sandwich you might be longing for. So without further ado, Gaston and I present to you my take on the lower carb keto bread. Today is going to be a wonderful bread that includes these ingredients. So we have eggs, erythritol, olive oil, coconut flour, gluten flour, ground flax, Gaston, salt, oat fiber, and yeast. So I have 3.5 cups of warm water here from the tap, to which I am going to add 2 teaspoons just of regular table sugar. You can do honey or anything that's sweet just to start it off. And we're going to stir that to mix well. And in that, I'm going to pour in 2 tablespoons of yeast. A little more, a little less, it doesn't really matter. And that we give a good mix, and we'll leave that to rise in a spot on the stove, which is warmer, for about 10 minutes. I have dumped all of my ingredients here in this bowl, and we're just mixing it all together to make sure there aren't any lumps, because when it's time to add it, you don't want to have any lumps, especially not of the coconut flour. You can sift this as well, but this is usually good enough because we do beat the mixture quite heavily. Now, because of my arthritic hands, I do this all in my stand mixer. This is my Hamilton Beach Eclectrics stand mixer, which I have had for quite some time, and it is a workhorse. I highly recommend it. In here, I am going to add my 4 cups of yeast and sugar, etc. And to that, I'm going to add my 4 room temperature eggs. And then this recipe requires 5 tablespoons of olive oil. So here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should do it. It's not totally a precise science. So we're just smushing this around a little bit to get the eggs mixed in with everything else. And then we are going to go ahead and throw in the dry mixture. I put in about half the flour mixture, and I'm just going to mix it until incorporated and then throw the other half on top. So right about now, I'm going to add the second half. This is a heavy dough, so you will want to scrape down the sides to get everything mixed in. And then it has to beat for about 8 minutes, which I'm not going to film, but so that's what it looks like. It's a very heavy dough. So here are my 2 masses, and this is actually a bit too much for my 4.5 wonderful Hamilton Beach Eclectrics, but I mix it all up and then I take half out and then I beat each half for about 6 to 8 minutes. And so now I'm going to pour a little oil on these and shape them and put them in the pans. And we will come back after they've risen. These are my 2 breads ready for the oven, and there's Gaston getting ready to eat. So we'll come back after they've risen and I'll show you that picture. All I did was roll them up with my hands, coated in a little bit of oil, and I like to line my pans because they seem to brown better with the paper, and it's much easier to lift out of the pan when you want to cool it. And here are the finished products. They are 2-pound loaves.
I love bread. I love bread. I eat it every day. That's why